Yeah, I am Ravi from Bharat Dynamics Limited. Thanks to PMIPCC, I heard from great people like Dr. Mohan Reddy and Dr. Sunkara, very inspiring. Once again I thank the PMIPCC. Thank you very much.
We have given you time to digest a bit as well so that you don't sleep. Sure, on a serious note. Well, our next speaker is somebody who has been there and taken care away from where people do not generally go through. Before I read his wonderful profile, I have something that I wish to share before I start on that. So that I don't forget integrity. See, I have demonstrated it. Project managers need integrity, right? I've forgotten. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was a child, about 6 years old. One of my mother's cousins was in those days working, I'm not sure what he was, okay? So don't ask me because I never knew that. He was part of Russian Navy. So he ended up coming home one day. So I asked him a silly question. I'll tell you the story behind the silly question. My father, by the way, before you think anything, there is a saying in Sanskrit that says Pandita Putra Srunta. Means someone who is son of a well-versed is a fool. In those days, my father had a research of his own that Russia loved it, that they invited him all the way to Russia. And he went along with my mother. It so happened this cousin of my mother, for the ease of expression, I'll call him uncle here, came along and took them on a regular ship, you know, the traveling ship that he took them over. I don't know why they went by ship, not by air. I have no idea. You know, even to this date, they went there. And after coming back, my mother told me how she vomited while she was on the voyage. And how he was very kind and gave her a pill that settled her quite quickly. And thereafter, she didn't have any troubles. So the second time, as I said, he came over as a naval officer of Russia, and he came home, and he was shaving. In those days, you know, having an electric shaver was a big deal. You're talking, when I was 5 years old, that was 46 years ago. Electric shavers were too big a deal, right? So while he was shaving, I went up to him and said, Uncle, other than giving pills to people who vomit on the ship, what else do you do? He looked at me, he laughed, and he said, look, the next time I come, all right, I'll take you over and I'll show you what exactly I do. So he was traveling. They were, you know, banked at Mumbai. He was traveling back there. He took me along, and he had shown me the entire ship that day. I was completely overwhelmed. So that's my knowledge of what happens on a naval ship. So if I do anything silly while reading your profile, kindly excuse me. So we have Commodore G. Prakash out here from the Indian Navy, who is an anti-submarine warfare specialist aviator. He has commanded 3 naval ships, INS Ajay, Taragiri, and Tyr. Senior officer commanding, he has been the 1st Squadron at Kochi, while commanding INS Taragiri, undertook extensive tsunami relief work in Sri Lanka. He has commanded 3 shore establishments, INS Mandovi, a training base at Goa, INS Dega, the Naval Air Station at Vishakhapatnam, and the Maritime Warfare Center, Kochi. Sir, it's indeed an honor to have you here, you who are protecting us and taking care of us. May I request you to kindly come onto the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions for our honored speaker, please? Yes, thank you. There's a hand going up there. Please kindly take the mic there.
Ask the question. Salute to you, sir. Salute to you. Okay. And how you handle the rumors, like, you know, in any project that we take in IT, you know, we'll have some internal rumors or grapevine communication. Are there any situations that you had any rumors in your, you know, when you're commanding some team or, you know, how you used to handle the rumors or grapevine communication in your teams?
Okay. Uh,
We need to contribute to our little bit. When they are trying to keep us awake, we need to make a little bit of effort to stay awake too. We'll have a little competition now. How many of you know why it is called all hands whenever we have meetings? Any guesses why it is called all hands? When somebody calls for a meeting, we walk with our legs and go. We don't walk with our hands, right? Then why is it all hands and not all legs? Any guesses, please? Sorry, could I have a mic being given there? Thank you.
All hands on deck, and that's where it was derived from, this term, if I'm right.
All hands on deck. All right. Where is the deck? Where is the deck? They say all hands on deck. Thank you very much, ma'am. That's the phrase I was looking for. All hands on deck. Where does this deck come from? Why is it called all hands on deck? Because if they are on a ship, just as we saw, it's a compact piece, right? And people have to walk up to the deck. So they have to again use the legs, right? Why only hands, not legs? We come back to the original question. Any guesses, please? But still they are using the legs to come there. Why only hands? Again, my original question remains, sir. Why only hands?
Because to finally end up in an agreement with a final shake hand.
No, but here somebody is calling somebody onto a deck. There is no agreement, sir. It's a matter of people coming on. And we are saying all hands. They have all agreed. That's why, because all people are working there. We call it all hands even at our corporates, right? We already have agreed by getting the monthly salary. Yes? What is project management? Planned value and earned value. Right? Our corporates have planned the value at the beginning of the month. We earn the value at the end of the month. We get June's salary in July. July's in August. Correct? So the agreement is already done. Then why do we call it all hands and not all legs? Okay, this is food for thought for you. Please keep thinking. We'll pick it up after the next session. Now, I have the honor of inviting Mr. K. Srinivas Rao. Sir, I'm reading a brief of your profile, who is a chief strategist and partner of The Strategist. Mr. Srinivas Rao is a human capital strategist with 20+ years of experience in human capital value chain. He served as head strategy, human resources at Satyam Computer Services. He has headed human resources at CATS, Computer Associates, TCG. He has also led the human resources function at BAN Global Support Group. He has been the practice lead for mergers and acquisitions at Ernst & Young. Honored with HR Leadership Award in 2008-2009 by Employer Branding Institute, Super Achiever as HR Professional in 2006 by Indira Group and Fun and Joy Institute, we have Mr. K. Srinivas Rao, the Chief Strategist, talking about strategy. Thank you very much. Mr. Srinivas Rao, may I request you to kindly be on the dais.
Good afternoon. So, this is a double whammy. And, one is to get a session after post-lunch. It's killer kind of a thing. And the second is, you call a right brain guy to a session filled with full of left brains. So project management guys, at least that's what me and my partner Subbu keep talking, they are so left brain, everything logical, rational. So I was telling Pawan, what are you asking a HR guy to come down and speak in a completely left brain kind of a session? But let me see what best we'll do, and we'll have some nice session hopefully that will help all of you in terms of understanding what is strategy all about. So the focus of session is predominantly at two levels. I have tried to keep the discussions. Number one is what we can do structurally. And when I say structurally, I am going back and saying from the organization perspective. And second is what we can do behaviorally, that is what we can do for ourselves. How can we keep ourselves strategically aligned to what we want to do? And we'll try to pick up from there and then take it forward. Right? Great. So, yes. Is my, yes, I'll just. Yep, thank you. So, the idea is how do we go back and keep looking at ourselves where the future is. For many of us, future is a completely anxiety driven. And for some of us, we see it as an opportunity. And that's from the behavioral science perspective, if you look at, we go back and say, where is your locus of control? If your locus of control is internal, that is, you believe you can drive your destiny, you will always see future as an opportunity. But if you believe the locus of control is outside, that is, someone else is going to derive your destiny, you will always see it as a challenge. And that is where the battle for strategy starts for. Okay, do I see future as a challenge or do I see future as an opportunity? So what is the impact of Britain getting out of EU is something which I need to worry about or no, is a question that we all have to start thinking. Somebody will go back and say, how does it matter? My job, my JD doesn't require me to think about it. What happens if Donald Trump becomes the president of US? On one hand, Arnab Goswami will have a great fun, but what is the impact for each one of us is another aspect. So the question is, everything that happens starts connecting the dots. So I'll give you a small example, and we don't know, we can't validate it, but this is what is being said in various corporate circles if you look back. 4 years back, Mukesh Ambani decides to announce to the world that he's going to get into telecom. So it was the annual general meeting of Reliance Industries, nothing to do with telecom, but he says, I am going to invest 1 lakh crore of rupees and get into telecom. 6 months down the line of that talk, Gartner and goes back and says, if Reliance is going to get into 4G and 80% of the calls are going to be at the rate which Reliance has been given. They predict that 80% of the calls in the next 3 years, starting 2017 to 2020, are going to be video-based calls. Because they're saying the rates are going to be so cheap of data plans that 80% of the calls that you and I are going to do from 2017 to 2020 will become video-based calls. This was the prediction that was done in 2013 end or 2014 beginning, which was one industry that started doubling its capacity to be ready for 2017. Any idea? Sorry? Okay, Airtel. Idea. So these are basically telecom companies you are saying. Okay, good. Any other guesses? One industry started doubling its capacity in 2 years back, and they're ready for 2017. Besides telecom, anybody else? Any guesses? Sorry? Airlines, okay. Sorry? Data centers, okay. Should I tell? Surprise? Cosmetics. Today evening, if you want to go, you can check what I'm saying is true or false. Today evening, when you put on the TV between 7 to 10 p.m., you will realize more than 40% of the ads are cosmetics. And it is not coincidence. It is not coincidence. India is the only country where you make 4,500 crores. Just imagine the number I'm talking. 4,500 crores by selling men's fairness cream. We do more than $1 billion by selling men's fairness cream. And that is why you have the John Abrahams and Varun Dhawan's advertising for fairness cream. Otherwise, you don't need a Shah Rukh Khan to go back and advertise for a men's fairness cream. It's a 4,500 crore market. So the question is, somebody connected the dots. If 80% of the calls are going to be video-based calls and I want to look very good, then people are going to spend more on personal cosmetics. And 2 years back, companies like Garnier and others have started advertising because they want to capture your mind share now. So that in 2017, when you loosen your pocket to spend money, you are up ready there, and at that time, you are not catching up the leg. So strategy is all about connecting these dots. Somebody going back and looking at how we can see to go back and connect the dots. On the lighter side, there is a WhatsApp group in Hyderabad called Men Will Be Men. Any idea what does that group does in WhatsApp? Huh? The group name is Men Will Be Men. So on weekends, when you drink and you want to know where the police checks are happening in Hyderabad, you can actually know that. I'm not joking, seriously. So if your friends who are there, regular drinkers, you can check and they'll tell you. Right? Again, that is a strategy that's operating at a very micro level. There is another way of finding where the checking is happening on drink and drive when you are driving. Any clue how to use technology? Night 10 o'clock, you are on your Google Maps. Wherever you see the red traffic, why would there be a traffic jam at night 10:30, 11? That means there's a police check happening. So strategy operates at various levels, starting from formal, informal level, like what, how the Google Maps are being used, to very formal structure where Gartners are predicting where the world is going to be and are we ready for it. We will try to go back and see how do you use strategy as a game plan so that you see it as an opportunity. The future is seen as an opportunity and you don't fear the future. Many of us don't like the idea of future for the simple reason is because there is a great deal of ambiguity. There is a great deal of restlessness saying, where am I going? I have no clue. And that is where the whole anxiety comes in. And we will see from the strategy perspective why some of us get paid to live life in 2020, 2022. So most of my earnings come because I tell companies what is the landscape going to look 3 years, 5 years down the line. I don't get paid for what is going to happen next quarter. So why is it that, and how do we do is what we will go back and try to understand in the next half an hour or so and build around that. So the question is, why do I need to really worry about strategy? Is there a missing piece and I need to really worry about? And these are some of the classic examples. We've heard all the brands. Means when we were growing up and we were saying, nobody thought Nokia would not exist. To a company like Saint Gobain, which has introduced glass and is still the number one. So why is it there are some organizations which are 100 years plus and still going strong, and there are others which have just vanished? Because some of them were ready for the future and some of them were not ready for the future. And being future ready is the most critical component for each one of us in the leadership roles today. Because the way the ecosystem is changing, the way the organizations are changing, the way the economics is changing, nobody can predict whether we'll be there or no. So BlackBerry vanished. If you go back and 10 years back, when I still remember, BlackBerry was the most happening thing. Means if you are a working executive and if you don't have a BlackBerry, means you have not arrived. So we used to be like desperate to go back and have a BlackBerry. You know why? Because that's the most happening thing. Today, if my son sees me with a BlackBerry, he'll say, Papa, you are ancient. Huh? You are a dinosaur, he'll go back and say, see. So there are some of us who are still there. We still carry the proud legacy back. Huh? Yes, we are all technically challenged people. But completely, if you look at the way the companies have survived, the way the companies have there. So the critical part, if you look back and say why companies have survived, and the simple reason is because they've kept evolving themselves with time.